My favorite JASS memories are definitely the beer tasting nights. When I invite some people over and we get random, strange beers together and make a night out of it, essentially. And in addition to beers, we'd have a variety of cheeses and different foods and sometimes wines or sake. And every person in our beer tasting events would rate the beers according to taste and drinkability. And I've had these for a number of times, and those are definitely my most memorable times with JASS members.
My favorite memory in JASS is last year at ski trip. It was my first time skiing ever, and by lunch I learned how to stop by falling. So I thought, oh, I can go to the top and go into the intermediate courses. And for some reason, both Larissa's and I decided that we'll go this one route because we thought it would be good, and then we were going to take the lift by the very end slope. So we got there and it was all icy and it was all flat and it was really hard and we were exhausted. And when we got to where the lift was supposed to be, we find out that the lift is down. Nobody's there, it's not moving, and I wanted to start crying because I was tired. And the slope, or where the path that we were supposed to take, was way too steep for me and Arisa Hiroi because it was also her second time skiing ever. And so we just said, fuck it, and we took off our skis and poles, and we carried it on our lap and skidded down our ass for 15 minutes. And I was swearing like a sailor for the whole 15 minutes. I was probably crying, and of course, Mommy just graciously went down the slope like nothing was a problem, and she just had to wait there for 15 minutes and listen to us swearing from the top of the slope. And yeah, so that's my favorite story or memory.
I don't know if this is my favorite memory per se, but one I really do remember is Halloween during my freshman year. Arisa, Em, and I and a couple of other people were trying to get to 2808 for a Halloween party, and we took the bus, except we forgot to get off in Davis, and so it took us all the way to Woodland in the middle of the night, and we had no way of getting back, and so us poor freshmen, we had to call and say, hey, can you guys pick us up? And Arisa was in her hamster costume, and I was in a witch costume, and we looked pretty darn miserable, but it's gonna stick with me forever. And yeah, but it was a fun party afterwards, so awesome.
My favorite memory in JASS, well, one of the first memories I had of JASS was at ski trip, and then I walked into the cabin and there was Michael Kato sitting on the couch with a beer, and he was like, oh, I like the taste of this beer. And then Andrew running around saying, oh, doesn't this guy look like he'll do you like an animal? And I'm like, oh. And then Steven going, no, I think that guy looks like he'll do you like an animal.
So my favorite memory in JASS has to be when, after the night of crab feed, or the crab dinner, we thought we all decided to go over to Kato and Ryan's house to, have a little kickback afterwards. So I think I showed up there around midnight, and it was just Yuji, Ryan, myself, Nikki, Kato, and Arisa Mototake. And we thought, well, maybe some people will start coming, so we just started playing beer pong. We're having a good time, whatever. Yuji and Arisa end up heading home, and Kato passes out, and it ends up being just me, Corey, Ryan, and Andrew. And we continued to play beer pong quite a few games, until drunk Ryan showed up and started spewing expletives at the end of all of his sentences. And so we decided to have taquitos, and Andrew was boggled by the idea that we could thoroughly amuse ourselves by simply having beer and dirty, cheap, frozen Mexican food. And so he asked us, is this what a guy's night is? And of course, we all replied, hell yeah, this is what a guy's night is, terrible jokes, beer, and frozen food. And it was just a great night and one that I'll never forget.
I think my favorite memory of the Jazz this year is probably last month when we had our beach trip. It was like Friday night when it was really crazy. Everyone got pretty drunk, like Erica, Haeyoung, Eric, Sho, and I was actually the sober one, so I had to like clean like Erica's puke on the floor. But good thing I didn't like witness Sho peeing on the bookshelf. That's what I heard. So yeah, that was my favorite memory of Jazz this year.
So definitely my favorite memories, I'm sure like everyone else, are all the ski trips I went on, and definitely being family coordinator, because getting to see all the sib pairings and everyone that gets along, it's just like, makes me happy.
Man, there's a lot for a favorite Jazz memory. I'd say my first my first ski trip actually. That was definitely a big shock for me, just seeing how large Jazz really is, and in a very social and relaxed environment. It was really nice to see just a lot of people chilling, and probably my favorite memory is just me and Steven just hanging out there, you know. And I remember distinctly that we were in the kitchen talking about solidarity, just because we don't want to, we tried not to drink too much because everybody's drinking, and we're like, yeah, solidarity. You know, we have some teacups, and then we toast, and we're like, okay, we're not gonna drink too much, we're just gonna drink tea. Of course, 1 year later, that didn't really work out because we ended up drinking a lot, and you know, it just happens to everyone. But I enjoy that social environment so much, and much more so with my big sib.
My first Jazz memory this year was actually the very first event for Jazz, which was the picnic. And what happened was that I was just like sitting there, and then all of a sudden this huge fire raged up on the barbecue pit. And so everyone was kind of like, oh no, what are we gonna do? Throw some ice on it. And the fire wasn't really like going down or anything. So Kelvin actually came up, he got a cardboard box, and he started beating the fire. And I thought it was the most amazing thing, because it actually went out. And then I was just like, oh my god, this is like the best like party. Like, I was just like so amazed, because he was like also Jazz King. So then I was like, wow, you protected your Jazz like citizens. And I think that was like my favorite memory of this year. Yeah.
So I guess it's kind of one of my favorite memories, but one of my funniest memories was when I first joined Jazz and I went on the ski trip, and I didn't really know anybody. So basically I was put in a car with like my big sib, Masa, and then I also had Nakey inside the car. And so during the trip, when we all picked places to sleep and stuff, I ended up sleeping next to Corey, and at the time I didn't really know him. But when we went to sleep, all of a sudden he just started taking off his shirt and his pants. And in my mind, I was like, what the heck? What's wrong with this guy? And so my first impression of Corey wasn't that great, but I guess it was, a future for him eventually. So yeah, it's one of my funniest / favorite memories.
My favorite Jazz memory was when I was a freshman, and we did family bowling, and I was same family one, and I remember being partnered with Anne Fry, and we did hella good, and we got the top score for our family. And I was really glad because I won this bowling pin that said Jazz Bowling, and I was just like, yes, I win, I'm so happy.
All right, so my favorite Jazz memory is probably during my first ski trip about, ski trip 2010. When, you know, it was like, I think Friday night, everyone was pretty much drunk as hell. And I was following Andrew around, and he sees Tung kind of passed out. Like, oh, okay, let's just mess with him, right? So Tung's passed on the staircase to bring him up. And like for some reason, Andrew places him next to a place where someone else vomited the hour before. And then we started taking pictures as blackmail. And then Andrew kept putting Tung's hands down his pants, putting it around his head, whatever. But Tung kept getting back up. So eventually he decided to go and tie Tung to the bathtub, using his belt, like to the, I think it was the soap bar. And you know, we left him there, closed the door, put a sign, make sure no one reads it. And then 20 minutes later, here comes Tung stumbling down the staircase asking for more alcohol. And at that point, I was just like, wow, really? You know? But yeah, and to this day, I think the picture still circulates around. I definitely have it, so ask me if you need a copy, you know, I'll be glad to send one to you.
Well, I don't know. comes up every year. And well, last year, the President Leslie also didn't know the answer. And she just went on and on and on and on. But I guess one memory that stands out is meeting Jessica for the first time after basketball in the emergency room. And now we're really close friends, so you can meet good friends in the emergency room. But I guess they're all my favorite.